Welcome to SoulWhat, a Soultopia production. Every Tuesday, Michelle and Roger Welch take a deep dive into the intriguing and proactive world of metaphysics, a world beyond our human perception. They'll talk to empaths, readers, and other guests from all walks of life to find out what's hiding under the surface, uncover the mysteries of our modern world, and reveal the answers you need to live a happy, healthier life. Now, here's your hosts, Michelle and Roger Welch.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing on this beautiful, I think it was beautiful, Tuesday?
Actually, it was nicer than I thought it was going to be because it's been cold as shit here. And then today it was nice. The sun was out. Like all day the sun was out too. It just got dark a little bit ago.
I know.
And it was actually comfortable.
You can kind of gauge at our house if there's golfers. So, you know, we're on the whatever hole we're on. And if there's, although sometimes they're out there and I'm thinking, what the heck? I mean, I'd need a snowsuit to be out there golfing. You must just really like golf.
Oh, they'll find any excuse to go out there.
I throw my club a lot. That's why I had to stop.
All the anger issues kick in all of a sudden.
You don't say.
Her little
Is anyone surprised?
tennis anger issues pop in, and
I
you see a golf club headed towards the lake.
or your head. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Loki was barking early this morning at the golfers. Letting the golfers have it at like 10 o'clock already. It's like, damn.
Yeah, they're all funny out there. Last night the dogs were talking, and they were talking, and gypsies
To each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me. No,
Yeah.
I was inside, but they
Okay.
talk. Yeah, we all talk, right?
Yeah.
But mainly they talk to Roger because they're going, we like you because you feed us, but really we like Michelle more, even though she doesn't do anything to help us at all.
I try to tell you, the only way to make pets like you is feed them.
Well, that is not true.
It is
because
true.
look at your first question. You're going to regret saying that in just a second. Okay, so you guys, we have had this guest on before, and we were really excited about it. And then he was a keynote speaker at both Tide and Newt's. And now if I don't hear from him once at least a week, I say to Roger, is he mad at me? I need to say hi to Matt. And I know how busy Mat Auryn is. And I also always mispronounce his name, even though I not spend time practicing saying Matt's last name.
Yeah.
Is this true or not true?
Yep.
I stand in the mirror, not really, but I'm like, and I remember him. I remember him telling me.
That's what happened.
I remember him telling me how to pronounce it, and it was so easy. And I thought, there's no way I can mess this up, and of course I do. So, but Mat Auryn is a witch, professional psychic, and occult teacher. He is also the multi-award-winning author, and you guys, that is true. You know how some people just put that on their books, like, oh, I got an award for my kindergartner.
I'm going to put that on my book.
This is true. He really is a multi-award-winning author of Psychic Witch and a high priest in the Sacred Fire tradition of witchcraft. He teaches at Modern Witch University and has a column in Witches and Pagans magazine entitled Extrasensory Witchcraft. He has been featured in everything, various magazines, radio shows, podcasts, books, anthologies, and other periodicals. And I will add, his books are, maybe, I don't know about the second one yet, we can ask, are in like 100 languages. I might be exaggerating just a bit, but probably about 20 or 30
I think
languages.
you can even find it at Antarctica, on the Antarctica. They even have it posted out there.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. This book, so Psychic Witch that Matt wrote. And hello, Matt, by the way. Thanks for being on the show. So, but seriously, this is it's an interesting lead-in the sense that I had a meeting over the summer wasn't a meeting. I was just buying for the store, right?
Yep.
And I told the people at where we were buying from. We buy from all the publishers that most everyone writes for these types of stores. And I said, too many witch books out there. I can't buy them all. I want to support all you guys, but I'm not going to be able to sell all these books. And I said, but there's one that we have to keep on perpetual, how many
It's
cases order.
Yeah.
I think last night.
Repeat orders all the time.
Last night I looked in the warehouse, and if in the warehouse it's down to one, that means they better have ordered new ones. So your book, Matt, sells like crazy, and now you're out with your second book, Mastering Magick, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But first, we wanted to check up on a little friend of yours. So,
All right, we've been seeing the post on the little kitty. Tell us about it.
Oh, um, he's doing good. So yeah, we had a cat that was coming to our porch, and just this beautiful normal cat. And we were feeding her. We didn't know if it belonged to someone or not. Like, she was super friendly. But then she attracted one day another cat, this little black cat with its eye all like its eye was pretty much gone from infection. And it came up to us, and it was just meowing for help. And so we're like, we got to do something about this, So we took him to the vet, and we got him all taken care of. Surgery on his eye, got it sewed up, got him everything else he needed, like he was dehydrated, all that stuff. And we've been pretty much nursing this Cyclops cat in our home, and he's going to be ours. And we just recently took the other cat, because it's getting cold now, that has been hanging out on our porch and not leaving for like months and months. So we brought her in, made sure she was chipped but not like tagged to be owned by anyone. So we got her all taken care of, and now she's in the house. So yeah, now we got four cats going on. And it's funny because the two new ones still have to be isolated from the rest of the house because they're going through the like deworming process. And like, you don't want to spread that to your other animals
Right.
until they get their second dose or whatever. But yeah, he's at first he had some kind of like brain inflammation because the infection got back there. So he was having trouble even like standing and walking right. But now he's been on antibiotics for like ever after the surgery, but he's doing good. He's pretty normal now for a one-eyed cat. The only thing is he doesn't have depth perception, and I think he's getting kind of used to that.
that would be hard to get. It was so. I mean, everyone's been on Facebook. I say everyone, but it's quite. What's his name again? It starts with an A.
Argus.
Argus has a following.
Yes. Yeah. So I named him. Argus was a Cyclops that Zeus rescued in Greek mythology. So I thought that's perfect. Cyclops rescued, and then we figured Arg for short, like a pirate, like Arg.
Arg, maybe.
And I just ordered him a little cat bed that's a pirate ship, and it's got a pirate flag and an anchor and everything. So,
well, that's sweet. And our son just ordered a. Speaking of ordering cat beds.
Yeah, my son, he took the cat that it was I don't know how you described how we got the cat really, but
it's supposed to be my daughter's cat.
Yeah, supposed to be the daughter's cat. Took off with the son.
Supposed to be a girl, Artemis, but it's a boy.
Just never figure all that one out. But he was tired of him sitting on his sofa all the time, so he went and bought a cat sofa that looks just like his sofa. So he has his sofa. They all match out.
Yeah. So they have matching sofas now. And yeah. But Will loves that cat.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really good that they.
He makes sure to take selfies with the cat and sends it.
Yeah, but I love the story of watching the cat, and I couldn't tell when it was first posted. I was like, did he lose his eye? Or I couldn't really tell for sure. So
I mean, it was pretty much gone. It was really, really nasty. The surgery, I guess, took way longer than the vet even expected, just because it was like, it was just decayed from infection, and it had started spreading to the brain. So we needed to like nix that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
So now we can hopefully give him a happy life as a one-eyed
absolutely.
pirate cat.
It's
You can
cute.
get the little pirate costume,
Yeah,
for
well,
pet costume.
I saw on Etsy there's a lady who sells eye patches for dogs and cats.
Mm,
So I'm gonna take a string and measure. And
yeah.
There you
the
go.
good thing about having a disabled cat is you can dress them up and they can't really do anything about it like a normal cat.
Aw. Oh my
You
goodness.
have a whole little series, you and your cat posting pictures.
Yes.
So I think this was, I guess, a couple of days ago. I was texting Matt, and we were texting back and forth, and I go back and grab the mail, and I get this from New Leaf. This is New Leaf, the publisher, and it's like, damn, Matt, your face is right on the front cover.
Hey, let me see.
You didn't see this?
I
Oh,
had
I love it.
no
I think that's
idea.
an incredible
You haven't
picture.
got that yet?
That was a surprise to me. Because Llewellyn asked me, like, oh, hey, will you write an article for New Leaves? And I was like, hell yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Because I've worked in so many metaphysical stores that
Mhm.
I was familiar with it.
Right.
But I had no idea that they sent them a picture to be put as the cover or any of that. So it was really cool. It was kind of a humbling, awesome surprise.
Yeah, it's a good little setup and article in here, everything.
Oh wow. Is that? Oh wow.
That's it right there.
This
Yeah.
is centerfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Got a
yeah,
little
I'm a
color
centerfold
You're a
picture.
girl now.
centerfold.
Yep. Got to turn it up. Oh, yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, because we order a lot from New Leaf. The ladies at New Leaf, we always look forward to seeing them. And INATs, they expect now. I think they expect every time for us to bring them their soul. They run up to us. One of them does. They'll come
Jackie.
find me. It's Jackie,
It's Jackie.
and she'll like, you have your bracelets here, and I'm like,
They
yeah,
always
because
want
we don't
bracelets.
vend there. We don't sell, right? We just
That's so funny because I'm wearing one of the bracelets you made. I
Aw.
don't remember if that was for Tide or if it was for
and maybe
Newt.
Zodiac or
No, that's Tide.
Tide. No,
That's
that's Tide.
Tide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It makes
yeah.
sense because it's all blue.
All blue, yeah.
So
Because the
it's-
newts had a little orange on it.
Yeah, it was funny. They run up and they'll be like, she'll like, oh, are you this year? Are you vending with your bracelets? Can I come look at them? We only did that like 1 year, and I said, I'm not, but I brought this little special magical bag of bracelets, and she said, really? And so then I go over to the New Leaf table and I try to go to the other tables, but the New Leaf people, they know to catch me first before they all get given out, right? They expect them now. They're so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get to talking about a little bit about your books. First of all, I don't know, Roger, if you can put the two books together because I think it's really cool how it, like,
We could, well, sort of, somewhat.
I think,
Doing.
is that the right way, Matt?
Yeah.
Can you?
It goes the other
Other
way,
way,
so it's
that's-
like chronologically.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
because the
First
eyes
book,
make
second book.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So when Devin was on, he has a I can't remember if it's a ritual or a spell, but it's like a glass moth. And I don't know if he told you that I asked him because I was like, oh, moths. And then in your book, the moth. And so he described the meaning of the moth with all of you and how that comes to be in like his book, but now it's in your book. Could you explain that to us, what moth means to you?
So a couple things. I address part of it in the book. I mean, moth is obviously transformation and all of that. But more than that, it's a creature that is guided by moonlight. So when it comes to like psychic witchy stuff, like perfect totem. Another thing I talk about in the book is the works of Carlos Castaneda. While there's a strong chance that Don Juan was not an actual person, they're still very inspiring books and very relevant to a lot of people. And I find inspiration in them. And Don Juan the Sorcerer, he discusses how moths carry the wisdom of all the sorcerers of all time. So it's sort of like their moth dust has the wisdom of all the sorcerers throughout time. So I thought that was cool. But Moth came onto the cover because Moth appeared to me in dreams. And just like Psychic Witch, I had Owl come to me. So I was like, all right, well, this is who we're working with for this project. And I don't recommend working with moth for a book though. Because moths, when you think about it, like they're caterpillars, and then they get in their chrysalis and they completely liquefy. They essentially die and then become moths. And this process of writing this book felt like that. The book changed several times. Like half the book was taken out and will hopefully become another full-fledged book. The direction changed a little bit of a few times. And then most of the book was written while I had COVID, because that deadline was right there.
I understand that too.
So it was like a grueling process, but I think everything happened as it was supposed to, and I do think that the end product I am proud of, and I do think it's beautiful, and it is very much like now it's a moth.
It's interesting because last night, I didn't tell you this, but I like to take baths, but we have a shower and it's personal, but whatever, in our master bathroom. I talk about it a lot though, I guess, because that bath, not having a bathtub thing is kind of a big deal to me. But I was up on the whatever level, and second, or there's 3 levels in our house, but I was taking a bath, and the whole time I didn't see a moth, and I was thinking about, okay, questions for tomorrow, and talking to you, and there was a moth. And literally, I mean, it's like, where'd you come from? And so then I was like, do I leave the moth or do I go? And I had been watching Catherine the Great Part 2. If you guys have not watched Catherine the Great, have you watched it? It is hilarious.
Funny.
It is the most.
I have not. What is that on?
That is on Hulu.
Hulu, yeah.
And it is with, I cannot remember the name of the actress, but she's... is it Dakota Fanning's sister?
I think so.
Maybe. And and the guy used to date Jennifer Lawrence or something. I don't know. But it is one of the best. I mean, it is so irreverent and so funny that you can't believe some of the things that come out of their mouths. Well, he's like locked up and under house arrest when Catherine the Great takes over. And he's in his room. He's going crazy. His mom's like mummy is falling apart in the head. The mummified version. It's falling. But someone brings him a little butterfly, not a moth, but a butterfly, and puts it under the door because he can't stand to be by himself. He goes crazy. And so he goes, I will just put you right here. And he does his red, wine glass, and just so you can be with me. And of course, you know what happens. He covers up the poor butterfly with the glass. And then you're just watching it going, get back over there, please. Get back over to the moth. Peter the Lesser, please. And you're begging him. And then he goes over there and he goes, my butterfly, it's gone. So anyway, it's been interesting. And then I saw the moth. So that was a sign. I'm not sure what the sign was.
Not to kill the moth?
Not to kill the moth.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I said, do I leave it or do I shut it in? I was like, the conclusion was I leave it. And next time we'll see if it's there, because I didn't put it under a glass.
That's good.
For sure. Go ahead.
It's interesting because not so much with moth, like I've had experiences with moth, but when it comes to owl, who is like my main ally, if I do like very intense magic for someone else, they will get a visitation from an owl, and it will be either absurd or intense to the point to where they'll just like bring it up to me, not thinking anything. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I just sent you magic.
That's really cool.
To the point to where like one of my friends' husband is like, oh, that's the owl guy. Can you ask him just to like send a text message or something next time?
That's the owl guy.
And my father, he raises pigeons. That's like his thing. He raises pigeons. It's his thing.
Yeah.
But a couple months ago, I did very intense magic for him. And he woke up the next day and there was just an owl chilling in the pigeon coop. Wasn't
Oh, wow.
attacking or harassing the other ones. It was just in there until he let it out. So it's one of those weird, like, really cool, affirming kind of experiences where it's,
Yeah.
it's like a sign. I usually take it as a very, very strong sign. So, perhaps that's what Moth was doing
No,
for you.
I know. It was pretty neat. And I did take it as a sign. Yeah. So what was
Did you see last week? We always laugh about Florida Man. Last week, Florida Man bought an owl at 7-Eleven for $100, and he was running down the interstate. Obviously, he's driving way too fast, so Florida State Patrol pulls him over and arrests him for buying an owl and having the owl in the car with him. It's just flying around in the car.
Were they trying to save the owl from
He was speeding, and he
Florida
had
Man?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
speeding, and he had an owl that he bought at 7-Eleven for $100.
That's sad. Let the owl go. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
really.
You can't own owls.
Don't do that to owls. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
You can't even own their feathers.
No,
It's
you can't.
very-
no,
yeah. So-
no predatory birds. I've had a few come in here want me to, make fans, smudge fans
Yeah.
for them. No, because it's predatory. No, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Take them out of the store. Don't ever bring them back.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens about once a year. Somebody will bring them in.
So, I may be skipping around, but our very first show that we did, I think Matt Stoker, I believe our very first podcast that we did, might have been the second, was about the topic of witches.
Yes.
And whether or not, and I'll get the whole what I'm trying to say out, but it's got a bit of a disclaimer behind it. It was about witches and the fact, and was it 3 years ago?
It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that would have been, like 3 years ago. But yeah, I think that was the first or second episode, if I remember correctly. It was very early.
And it was pretty interesting because we talked about, I did a lot of research about hashtags, and I'll say digital media, social media, whatever. And one of them was, it had more hashtags than Christianity at the time, had more hashtags, even more importantly, than the Dallas Cowboys. And so we did a show on it. And the show was basically because we saw a change in the store, in our stores. Okay. Yeah. We carry a lot of different items in our stores. We don't tend to just have herbs and things like that. We have a big variety in our stores. And we saw a switch almost overnight, it felt like. Would you say? Mm-hmm. Almost. And so the show was basically, I think it was called The Witch Trend. And
I thought it was Riding the Witch Train.
Okay, that was probably even a better title. And so I guess
I can find out, but I'm not. I'll let you just hang in suspense here.
Yeah. So
Riding the Witch Train.
My question to you, Matt, is, and I kind of know what I think you'll think, but I want people listening to hear it. Okay, so do you think that it is a trend? Witchcraft, and if so, if yes, to an extent, that people have kind of hopped on this riding the witch trend, as Roger says. If so, and we're not judging, we're just saying, looking at the numbers and the trends and things like that. Do you think that's a good thing, or a bad thing, or are you indifferent?
I have mixed feelings. So, I do definitely think it got popular to the point of being a trend. This also happened in the 90s. I'm sure it's happened other times before I was involved in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But, I try not to judge it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we were to look at like Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have people that are like super devout. You have people that are like in the priesthood. You have people that maybe just go to church on Sunday. You have people that maybe just show up for Easter Mass.
Right.
So, when it comes to spirituality, I try to be, very liberal minded in the sense that, it's their own spiritual tradition and connection. But there are times where it's sort of, it sort of feels exploitive in a sense, including people kind of, like learning about witchcraft like 3 months ago, and now they're posing themselves as a social media expert influencer on the topic,
Right.
and there's no problem with sharing what or your experiences, regardless of your level. But when you're trying to help other people find information and understand certain aspects of it, it can be a little harmful. But I also think that like the trend, the rise in witchcraft, has a lot to do with what's going on in our society. Witchcraft historically, or sorcery, same kind
Right.
of difference, tends to be something that people go to in desperate times, when they feel powerless, when they feel that everything else has failed them, and they're desperate. So I think we don't have to go into details about it, but I think it's very obvious, like any of us who have lived in the past couple years,
Right.
that I can see why people are being drawn to it, because I think mainstream religion has failed a lot of people, and I think atheism doesn't. I think there's something in the human spirit that needs to be nourished spiritually that I don't think atheism always fulfills for everyone. So witchcraft and alternative, like metaphysical stuff, can sometimes be that for people.
So I'm 100% with you on that, and I don't even think of it as a controversial topic. I think it's just a very good question, and I've been asked that question a lot, not necessarily from the witchcraft point of view, but on the news, national news, things like that. I was asked last year, I think around January, what demographics, how have they changed? Why do you think people are coming more into your stores? And whatever it is they're seeking something other that's not being, not feeling potentially something within them that they're searching for. And I do think that we're potentially spiritual beings. And so I agree with you very much on that. And so it's just interesting. And the reason I put those questions is we will have a lot of people on that are like the best-selling authors. I mean, your books are clearly probably the best-selling books about witchcraft right now for the past couple of years. I mean, from our stores, at least 100%. And the questions that just are really simple that maybe everybody who's like you might think, okay, we talk about this every day. It's on all these social media forums, but the people who walk through our doors don't. And so, or who listen to our show and maybe listen later, they really just want to know sort of the basics and how do I get started. And I really appreciate how approachable your books are. And I use the word approachable because they're actually also not beginner books. They're books that anyone can use, but they're approachable to someone who's quote unquote what they call it. And when they come in the door, they say the word new. They always say, I'm new. And we're like, oh, you're remembering, but here, let us show you. And so I always guide them, and so do our employees, to your books. And so we want to thank you for that. But that's why I asked about it. And my follow-up question to that, and I'm not interviewing him, so if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to, and it's just fine. But I really like Devin a lot. Devin Hunter, who was on last week. You know Devin.
What if he doesn't know the answer to this one?
I'm fond of him.
You're a little bit fond of him. So I think he will know the answer. He wrote on Facebook, I think, last week, and only certain people pop up on my feed that I see. I mean, I don't go searching necessarily to look for other people. Only, I guess, the ones I look at a lot pop up. And he said something like, and I'm genuinely wanting this explained because I didn't totally understand it for people who might not. He said, I'm not pagan.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I don't mean this controversial, I really just want to understand. So if we had the, the Wicca being kind of the religion and witchcraft and pagan being another umbrella of sorts, could you tell us in your words, I know you're not speaking for Devin, but what you might think about that? Is everybody who's a witch a pagan or not?
No.
Okay.
Because both words are so broad. So, like you were saying, you get asked a lot of simple questions, and I often find the simple questions are the hardest. So even being asked, like, what is a witch? You would think that's super easy for me, but to give like a quick, simple, easy answer, is difficult because it means so many things to different people. So I see witchcraft as a spiritual technology, a spiritual tool set that can be religious for people. It can also be non-religious for people. There's atheist witches, there are Christian witches, there are agnostic witches. Pagan, um, pagan is a weird word because I'm not quite sure anyone has the authority to say that they aren't pagan, because pagan is based on relationship to another religion. So, it's a slur of Christianity. Originally was a slur, it was kind of the equivalent in Roman times of the country bumpkin, the people out past the city who still believe in the non-Catholic religion,
Gotcha.
were the pagans. So technically we're pagan, but I think that, I don't know, I don't fully associate with the word either. So I understand being lumped into that.
Right.
But I think, I think, see, what's so difficult about this is that paganism is usually linked to polytheism, and witchcraft and polytheism historically are not always the same. So even in ancient Greece was, they were very polytheistic. The witches still were different. They still did something different than what the average person was doing in the Greek temples.
Okay.
But when it comes to terms and labels, I really feel like, I can try to explain how they're umbrella terms, but I think when it comes to anything related to labels or identification, it's really about your personal relationship with those words and how comfortable you feel with them.
I agree, and thank you for answering that. And to Devin, with later, I'm really wasn't trying to call. I found it interesting because I thought, I may have been saying some things that aren't exactly just when you kind of try to put something in a nutshell. You give like a quick statement. I might have said some things that weren't exactly correct because I'm trying to. Labels sometimes have their purpose because it's a quick way to bear with me, say something really quickly, not have to give a whole dissertation on it to get to another point, right? And so then we end up sort of using labels that people might not appreciate. So I just found that really interesting.
Not to speak for him, but what I believe he was saying is paganism is usually linked to hard polytheism versus soft polytheism. So hard polytheism is that when it comes to gods, they're like people. They're individual, separate people. Soft polytheism is a bit more archetypal. It's a bit more fluid. And as witches, as occultists, we work on all those levels. So sometimes we kind of butt heads with people that are completely hard polytheist. So it's very much like in Mastering Magick. I talk about how, I am Mat Auryn, and within me are all these cells and all these organisms, which are life forms in themselves. And if I were to talk to one of those cells and be like, "You're Mat Auryn, right?" They'd probably be like, "What the hell are you going on about? I don't know what you are," but we know on a greater level that they're all part of me. So I think that's, kind of the difference between soft polytheism and hard polytheism. And often people who embrace the word paganism tend to be a little bit more on the hard polytheism side.
That makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you for that, and thanks to Devin for for posting that, because it did get me thinking. Right.
Yeah, that's good. Got you
Right.
thinking.
Thinking's
So
good, yeah.
Yeah.
Roger does a lot of spells. Roger, have you had a chance to read Mastering Magic?
Part of it. I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
I've been busy.
I
Sorry.
Surprise, surprise. No, I love you. But that's a good question. Are your books on audio, like to listen?
Yes, they're on Audible. both of
Audible.
them.
Thank you. Is what I meant. Both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you go to my website, matauryn.com, and hit downloads, I have PDF companions for both, because some things you need the image or
Right.
the chart or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
So
Exactly.
So because we were joking in the beginning a little bit about, but they are in different languages. How many different languages have they been translated into?
so I've lost track. I think Psychic Witch, I believe it's in like 11 languages at the moment, with like 3 pending. Mastering Magic is in 1 language, but there's like 10 translation rights that have been bought already, which is like
It's mind blowing.
amazing.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So, I mean, I barely speak English, so my books are far more fluent and
And speaking for you. That's the great
People are
thing
picking
about
up.
it.
Man, he's so smart. Look at these languages he's in.
Yeah, right. But from your new book, well, first of all, let's answer this question, if you would. For if again, I'll go back to our stores. When somebody walks in the door, I'm new. Okay, we hear it all the time. You know about that. Yeah, I'm sure hearing people put the way they put it. They're intimidated sometimes. They're overwhelmed. Where would you have someone who is interested in magic and let's say witchcraft in particular, within your books, because I would guide them to your book. We would suggest your books. What type of they real quickly want to also do a spell.
okay.
Don't you think?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's very quickly. So would the answer to here's how you could do a spell, even though you're one of those who you've been doing this for 3 weeks. No, you're not claiming to be the expert. You're just trying to learn, and you just want to do a spell. What would you say for that person? What would you tell them to start with? I know it's a big. I know it's a big question, but just like, not that we're boxing you in, but just like
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is I think American society in general, we like quick fixes and quick answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think with something like magic, there is really like a fast food answer of like, I want a number 5 spell, let's do it. You can totally, open up a spell book and do a spell and not know what you're doing and have it manifest. That is definitely a possibility.
Right.
But understanding the mechanics that are at work and understanding how you work with energy and perceive energy and stuff of that nature is going to give you a greater success at manifesting it, and B, get you what you want.
Okay.
Because that's, one of the big things I address in Mastering Magic is, how specific you are, but not being too specific with your spell. And it's kind of it's a balancing act, because the greatest mess ups or failures when it comes to spell casting tends to be one or the other, that you were too specific or you were too vague, and so you either got what you asked for, but it wasn't what you had in mind because it was too vague, or you were so specific that it just almost becomes what I refer to as unenchantable,
I love that. Yeah.
just because the odds of that path of energy to go down are too much. So, I would start with the very beginning of mastering magic. I give a prayer and I give a spell. And I think those two are both very, very simple examples to try to also get the person to understand a little bit of the difference between a spell and a prayer. And I think things that are related to self-empowerment are always going to be safe when it comes to magic when you're starting out.
Okay.
And that's why mastering magic, it's all the spells tend, other than like protection and cleansing, they all tend to be self-empowerment and awakening your psychic senses and your intuition.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So all right. So talking about spells, let's throw a scenario then.
Okay.
All right. So because it is the holiday season, right? And so a lot of people do get seasonal depression, but a lot of it too comes back into like anxieties because of dealing with, family, friends that kind of maybe not on the same wavelength as we are, kind of the judgy family members. What do you think? What would be an easy, something that a newbie comes in, I'm having to go have Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner, and I need something to kind of help me through it. What would you tell them? Crystal, put it in the pocket, talisman. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, those sort of things can help if they want something physical. Crystals, of course, are always a great go-to. But when it comes to those kind of interpersonal type things, I tend to do less spellcraft and more like psychic witch, more of the sort of energetic magic. So there are certain focused visualizations that I would do. And it depends on what their goal is. Like, do they want their family to get along during Thanksgiving? Do they want to sort of not have attention drawn to them during Thanksgiving? Do they just want to be upbeat? And so I would have kind of different solutions for that. So if you wanted, for example, to be ignored, my go-to is gray mist. I always surround myself with gray mist. Like if I go to a cemetery, because I'm a witch, so if I go to a cemetery and I'm collecting like grave dirt or something like that, like I always put gray mist on, because I don't want, someone to be like, hey, what's that weirdo doing over there, like leaving coins and pouring alcohol and taking dirt,
Right.
So that's always good. If you want people to get along, I would do an adaptation of Psychic Witch, which is cat purring. Just imagine cat purring surrounding everyone, and it makes you. So the way that I teach it in Psychic Witch is you do it to yourself, and it makes you more likable to other people because they're getting that sort of energetic, like purring, like comfortable. If they're looking to be happier, I mean, there's things that can boost that, but there's some things that, like, magic isn't always the solution, and there's some things that, like, I strongly encourage journaling. I think journaling is like the most magical thing you can do and the most mundane thing. Going to therapy, there's such a stigma to it, but I think therapy is important for any magical or spiritual practitioner, because you want to be unburdened of things.
What do you mentioned, and I remember at the beginning, it's pretty close to the beginning of the book, when you talk about prayers and spells. How do you feel about when people say intention is everything, and how does intention being everything fit into the need to go through a spell?
Oh, awesome. I do not believe that intention is everything. I hear that a lot. I think intention is important, and I discussed that in Mastering Magic.
I know. Yeah.
Intention sets your focus, right? So I can intend to cross the street all effing day. It doesn't mean I will.
Right.
And for occultists, magicians, that's where intention and will are different. Will is something that we kind of hold in like reverence, to the point where we have a concept called true will, which is discussed a lot in the first book.
Right.
but willpower is what takes that intention and moves it into action. So, you know, people intend things all the time. That just, you know, like, I could intend not to hurt your feelings. I didn't intend to hit that car.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't mean that that intention and that result are matched at all.
Yeah, and we're in agreement in that, obviously. And I think it was in the Magic of Connection. I talk about the laws of the universe. I mean, action is in the law of attraction, and so I do the, you know, for just sitting on the couch. And I did a whole speech on it one time because the law of attraction really came from the movie. It was a movie first, and then it became a book, and now there's 4 of them. The Secret. And I go through it and say, that's just one thing. And that's like number 7 out of 14 or 16 things we could talk about. And so I'm on the exact same page as you about setting, you know, intention is everything. Yeah. Because, if it was everything, well, we'd all just be sitting here and everything be flying around and everything be done for us, right? So I'm on the exact same page as you on that.
But I do think it's important because it does set a focus. It sets a goal.
I agree. Yes.
So
yes.
I don't dismiss it, but it's definitely not everything. It's not in our mundane world. So why would that apply in the metaphysical, spiritual world?
But yeah,
you know.
But to some extent, it was made into being the most important thing, even though it wasn't necessarily called that for a while.
Well, because it's like I was saying, it's highly marketable because it's fast food. It's a quick, easy fix to tell people, oh, you just do this and it's solved.
Yeah.
You know, no real work, no inner work, no, you know, magic isn't easy. This path isn't easy. It takes work. It takes development, you know, but it's rewarding. And I definitely, absolutely believe that it's worth it.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask, if I like moderating panels, so maybe at the next, and Jim Devine did a great job at moderating panels, but I really like moderating them just because, I don't know, brings out my lawyer cross-examination things. Not to put people on the spot, but to get everybody a chance to talk and everything. And I just lost my train of thought, though.
You like to moderate panels.
No, but there's a point in saying that. Oh, I wanted to know about if I was sitting in that audience, and I was, I would want to know, okay, so I'm interested. And that's not what it was. Okay, sign up now. When you leave, sign up for which type of witch you want to be, and here's where you get to go. And we're recruiting. It wasn't that at all. But at some point, it might become that to someone for a little bit. They might think, okay, I'd love to be a part of something. I'd love to learn more about witchcraft through or magic through your books. But what if they wanted to become a part and not practice solo? They wanted a group. That's something that is important to them. How does someone go about finding, for lack of a better word, a coven, a group, or is that something that is super secret and you have to be invited to do that?
That differs. You know, some groups are super secretive and are invite only. Some groups are completely open. It also depends on, are you looking for in-person like community and training, or are you looking for like online community and training? We offer online community and training for anyone that's interested in learning at modernwitchuniversity.com.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a couple other traditions and schools and teachers that do that as well as in person. You know, I think it's just a matter of, if you really want an in-person group, start Googling.
Yeah.
And see what can happen. Going to conferences and festivals and events like that is also going to be an amazing way to meet people in traditions and kind of get your foot in the door, or even see if like, oh, you know, like that tradition interested me, but like everyone's a douchebag that I met that that is in
Right.
that group, you know.
Right. Well, I
So
think that's great that, and I knew that you had the online, but I'm glad you mentioned it because I think a lot of people might even want that to start because a lot of the people who do come in sometimes they do. It feels to me at first that maybe they're a little intimidating, and it might not, or intimidated, excuse me, and it might not be quite as intimidating. Maybe I'm speaking for myself. If you were online at first, it might not be quite as intimidating. But I was just sitting there saying, you know, and probably that wasn't a newbie group that we were talking to, but you know, like a whole new group of people that was being learning, listening to that panel. But at the same time, I think it's a question that is always good to answer for people, because if people are coming and searching for answers, then we'd like to say, yeah, here's the books, here's the information, but we'd also like to say, this is how you can follow through.
So we used to have Witchvox, the Witch's Voice website, and you could go on there and find covens and traditions and stuff like that. But they retired their website just a couple years ago, so that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
now
a hole that needs to be filled if anyone feels ambitious to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for since like throughout the 90s up until just like a year or two ago, like that's how a lot of people met covens and met traditions in their local areas. It was kind of like a Craigslist for
doing
witches.
Maybe we need an app like Match.com. It's at witches.com.
We don't have time.
Right.
You're not doing that.
You swipe left or right, whichever. Oh, this is kind of a cool. I like the look of this group. Yep.
No. You're
Why not? That could
I'm
be
just
fun.
saying you're not doing it.
That could be fun. Look at this one. I love that crimson.
Hey, really fast, do you want to give away a prize?
Sure.
Okay. We
What are we
do
giving
this
away?
every single week, and every single week we don't have a question and we don't have a prize. Okay, so let's give away one of Matt's books.
We'll give away one of Matt's
Mastering-
books.
We'll say Mastering
Okay.
Magic.
All right.
Well, if they haven't.
Well, we'll give you whichever one you don't have.
Well, let me
How
ask
about
you
that?
this question: do they go in order? Do they need to read? Do you need to read Psychic Witch before you read Mastering Magic?
That is a great question. You don't. I wrote Mastering Magic as sort of the second step to Psychic Witch, but I also tried to write it in a way that if you hadn't read the first book, you can still do Mastering Magic.
Okay.
I don't see them quite as sequels. Laura Tempest Zachroft just released a second book to Sigil Witchery. It's like The Art of Witchery. The title slips me. But she said something brilliant. She said she sees them as siblings, that like they're related. And if you read one, it helps understand the other. So that's kind of how I see my books as well.
That makes sense.
They build each other, but you could start with either or.
Okay. So whoever wins, they can choose.
Okay.
We've got them both.
Sounds good. Are you watching over there too?
You watching?
Yes.
I've got a great
I have it.
question. I got a great question. Ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
All right. So we were talking about the new kitty, and he has a long name and a short name. If you give us either name, you're a winner.
That's the question I was going to suggest.
How about that?
Oh,
that's a
great
good one.
minds.
That's
Y'all were
right.
in sync. Y'all were
I'm
in
watching. I'm watching.
They both wore the same cap last week. Matt Stoker. Our
And then,
producer,
yeah,
Matt,
well, I
good
noticed
hat.
you
and
stole
Roger.
my hat, though.
No,
I saw it on your side of the room.
it was on the floor.
Yeah, bullshit.
It was on the floor, I promise. So watch for whoever wins that, and that's a great.
All right,
That's
got
a
it.
great.
Yep.
There, you've got a winner.
Yep. Kathy.
Okay, so Kathy,
Yay, Kathy.
believe
Yep.
is that Kathy with a K?
K with a K.
Okay.
K-I-A-T-H.
So I would say Kathy with a K. We don't need to mail
Kathy
that
with
to
a K.
you. You can
can
come
pick
get
it
it,
up.
and you can just pick whichever one you want, and just make sure they take it out of the system, so we know that we need to
Yeah.
order more. Because I saw we had like one left in the warehouse.
We actually had several people new, too, just so you know. It was
what?
close. They
People
were
were
all
paying
hitting
attention.
it.
It was
They were
close?
hitting it fast, too.
Yeah, they were ready for that one.
They wanted that book. Yeah, it's a pretty hot item around here. So anything else? I tried to. I know I'm dividing up the questions and I'm over talking you a lot.
You're
so
fine.
You're fine.
But there was something else. Let's see. Oh, I know. And again, not meaning to be controversial. A big, a
That means
lot
she
of,
is.
That no, it's just because I want the answer from, in my opinion, an expert. So when we have a lot of people come into our stores, and a lot of times, one in particular, probably more than other, one location more than the others, a lot of people will believe, 100% believe that they have had a curse or a hex put on them. Okay, so I know this isn't a new question to you or a new thought or anything like that, but they are, and it's because a lot of it is and I try to teach, because I'm big on ethics. I try to teach, you don't want to put down someone's upbringing. That's their culture has taught them. There might be hexes, there might be curses and all that, but there's certain things at Soultopia we allow. We're not going to take $5,000 to get a curse off of somebody, okay, because that's fraud. And so my question as I wrote it is, we have people every day, literally every day, that get readings or that come in thinking that they have been hexed or cursed, and they may use that word interchangeably. What do you believe? Do you think curses happen as much as people think they do? I know it's a tough one, and I know there's not a quick answer, but
it's a case by case situation. And like, it's obviously increasing with the rise of popularity of witchcraft and magic. But I would have to say that, like, I don't think, despite people going around thinking that they're cursing people, curses are a lot harder to stick than normal. And they tend to just be sort of glorified evil eye. But I think usually people trip themselves up, and they kind of, to use a conjure word, they're crossed, and you can cross yourself as well.
Right.
It's a case by case situation to see, like, like, are they cursed? Like, let's do divination on it. Let's, see where we go from there. But, maintaining a regular spiritual cleansing and protective practice is going to help prevent those things from sticking. And then, like, if you do have it, or you do want to, like, so regularly I do an uncrossing as well, and also like a reversal, like, just in case anything is thrown at me, because like, I do have haters, that
I
are
don't see
magic
how
first.
anybody hates
So
you. I think you have
just
jealous people, but yeah, that's what you have.
well, I'm not big on doing malefica, curses or hexes on
Right.
other people. But you never know what you're picking up. And just like you said, like jealousy universally, that concept of the evil eye is a thing.
It's a thing.
And and that is a form of a curse and a hex, but it's also easily removed as well. So I think, we also can't underestimate the power of the mind when it comes to, believing you're cursed, and then kind of amplifying that and tripping yourself up and crossing yourself. But I think, like, good protection and hygiene, and maybe like every, like, new moon doing like a reversal, or a curse cleansing type thing doesn't hurt.
Do you cover some of that in either Psychic Witch or Mastering Magic, or both?
Yeah, so I cover all of that, except for, I don't believe I do the curse reversal. I do teach something, though. So I have an adaptation of a spell that was originally created by Dorothy Morrison, and she called it the Swifting of Energy. And I put it in my, like, hermetic section, because it totally exemplifies transmutation. So I tend to take crap people throw at me and then cleanse that energy and use it to fuel my own goals and success and stuff of that nature. So, because if people are going to freely give me energy, like I'm going to use it.
That's exactly what I say in the Magic of Connection. I say that almost it's word for word. I'm like, if you're going to throw shade at me, then I'm going to transmute it. I'm going to turn it into a different form because energy doesn't go away. It just changes forms and I'm going to use it. It doesn't mean I have to throw it back at them or throw something ugly back at them. Why wouldn't I keep that energy for myself and change it into something I can use?
Yeah.
Right?
Why let it go to waste?
Yeah, why waste it?
Just needs to
They
go
gave
through
it
the
to me.
washer.
Yeah, they gave it to me. So, thank you. Thank you. So it's the same idea, just said in different words. So thank you for answering that because that is a huge, it's a huge thing that happens here every single day. And
Probably half the people.
especially at one location.
Yeah.
One of our locations. So, and again, we don't ever want to question someone, what they believe. You don't want to go, well, no, you're not cursed. I mean, they really believe that, and they've been raised to believe that there are curses. So thanks for answering that question. And I would just say to everybody listening, I have read The Psychic Witch. Roger can tell you I have a copy in my office. I have a copy in my office at home. I have a copy in my bedroom. I even had a copy in the garage by the front door.
Yeah. There was 3 copies of Psychic Witch floating around and 2 copies of Mastering Magick.
And
They're hers. They're hers.
Well, you could have more, but
I have a warehouse usually full, but they run out very quickly. Yeah. But Mastering Magick is the new one, and it's really, really good. It's one of those books that you can read cover to cover, but you can also look in the table of contents, and you can open up to a certain area and read it that way too. For those of you who don't like to sit and read a book cover to cover, and there are people that don't have time to do that. So I love your books. You know that we think the world of you. And do you have anything else that we need to announce tonight? Or
well, I will say is that Kathy said, I've already got both of Matt's books. Give it to winner number 2. So
I had a feeling.
Lacey,
I
knew she did, and I was wondering if she would or not. And she did. So Lacey was this number 2 in there. And Lacey's stoked. She's stoked.
She's excited.
She's super excited. Like she's hopping up and down excited.
Oh, good.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. So what else? Anything exciting? Anything coming up for you?
I'm working on a lot of things that I'm very like hush hush because I'm like manifesting them.
Yep.
I am writing the tarot booklet for my friend Arthur's new deck. He did the True Black. He did that. I hope I'm not butchering it, but this deck is the Ephemere deck. I asked him, I was like, how do you pronounce it? And he's like, I made it up. So, it's like ephemeral, but it's like ephemere. But I'm really excited about that because he's super talented.
He is extremely talented.
And
I used that deck in we did a psychic dinner that we do once a month. And, I was in a restaurant, a little dark. Those cards are dark a little bit. So I used black lights on it.
Oh yeah,
they're super really cool with black lights.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful quality.
Yeah,
he responded to me. I emailed him about something and asking him to do something, and he literally responded
so he's pretty fast.
Within 24 hours.
Wow,
yes, I'm very impressed by that.
That's better than me.
It's a lot better than you.
I'm getting bad at that myself, so I need an assistant.
Yes, you do. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know that about you personally. I'm saying as much as I see that you're doing and accomplishing and everything that we're doing. Okay, so we're going to spin the wheel. I'm not saying anybody's winning, but you guys, we're not reading tonight, but we can't leave without spinning the wheel, and then we'll say, and you're going to spin because my hand still hurts. So we'll see what you get. We're not going to read. We're just going to tell you this is the card for the week.
Card for the week for everybody.
Yeah.
Please don't be the tower.
It's good.
Oh no, it's the tower. No, I'm kidding. It's the Empress card.
It's Empress. Did you look straight down from here?
Well,
it's got to be.
I'm happy with the Empress.
Okay,
it's the Empress card.
It's the Empress card.
It's the Empress card.
We could use some Empress energy.
Yeah, exactly.
So these, Matt, would you tell us the where people can order these wheels?
Yeah, so my partner Chaz makes that. So you can get that on our website, datoratradingcompany.com, or I believe he has a special site just for that stuff, which is carnavalia.com.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
Devin said too. I love it.
He has all kinds of neat contraptions with like tarot and divination that he makes.
I think of him as being in another time, like when you go into one of those like magical stores, but also kind of a toy store of like things that are being invented, and watches and clocks and all kinds of that's how he seems to me. He also has a brilliant business mind too, and you can know that within 5 seconds of talking to him. But he seems quite brilliant to me.
It was either you or Devin once told me he's like the mad scientist of tarot or something like that.
Devin said it on the
Devin?
air,
It was
on the
Devin,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
So his inventive mind, his creative.
He's like that tinkering archetype.
Yeah.
You know, like a tinkerer.
Yeah. So, and I see this, you know, it's kind of dark. There's books everywhere. And then out of the kind of behind the curtain comes Chaz, you know, and he's tinkering. He's half paying attention to you, but he's working on something, yet he's talking to you, you know. And so I literally, when I met him, that's what I saw. So, I love what he creates. So, yeah, so
That's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for coming on. Roger has a few announcements, and I know you're so busy, so we always are so appreciative. I mean it, of your time, Matt. I know it's.
I would do anything you asked me to do.
Oh.
I love you guys. I love talking to you, and
we appreciate you so much.
Definitely.
Oh, and one other thing I wanted to say, if you for the holidays, you guys. The thing, I have a holiday recipe of crystals. I wrote it about 6 years ago, and I'll post it. It was in some magazine. I can't remember what it was at the time, but it wasn't New Leaves magazine, but it was in some magazine.
I forget
and
which
so,
magazine. It was Yoga Life or something like that.
But the thing, if you want to have harmony, like amongst the family that's gathering together, put a bowl or just put one piece of tiger iron. It's a 3-for-1 crystal. It's got hematite in it, tiger's eye, and jasper. And so it's a unifying and harmony crystal, in my opinion. And so it will bring harmony. If you have always those 1 or 2 people who get in it and they start arguing about politics or whatever, and they can't hold, and then they have their 2 drinks in and they're, arguing. Just put that out in the room. And it's not expensive. It's called Tiger Iron, so that's what I would recommend. But I have a whole. I need to post that.
And it flies really well out of the slingshot.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what do we have coming up? So because we're already.
All right. So actually, this week is one of the few days we will be closed for Thanksgiving. We'll be closed Thanksgiving Day all day, but we'll be back here for Friday for Black Friday. And guys, we actually have specials Black Friday. We have Small Business Saturday. Sunday's not anything, but we're going to have a little surprise for everybody, and even Cyber Monday. So that email will go out, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. So we'll send an email out to everybody tomorrow, listing all the specials and promos. And plus, we're going to be doing, on Friday, we'll have readers in the stores doing readings. Basically $1 a minute. It's going to be 10-minute readings for $10.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, come get a reading. It's like $10 to get a reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anything else?
What else do we have? I forgot.
No, I was just going to say have a great night.
Oh, yeah. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks, Matt. Y'all have a great one.
All right.
See y'all later.
you.
All right. Good
Bye.
night, everyone.
Thanks for listening to SoulWhat, a Soultopia production. If you're intrigued, searching, or looking to schedule a reading of your very own, visit us in sunny Dallas, Texas, or visit us online at facebook.com/Soultopia Holistic Boutique. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform to be the first to hear new episodes every Tuesday at 7:30 Central.